Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go. AEZ, we're back again. Second episode. We got the crew. Tank, what's going on, brother?
Chilling. How's everybody doing?
Breezy.
He's doing the damn thing, bro.
Justin. Matt.
Hey guys, what's going on? Good to be back.
To the producer, the boss man, Connor.
It's great to have another episode. Thought the first episode was a very good success, show-wise, and the response that we got. Over 150 views now, the first episode. So, yeah, I'm really excited for this episode.
All right.
Nice job, boys.
Let's get her rolling, guys. So, of course, as we run through our reviews, we start with Dynamite. So last week's Dynamite was a lot of fun. I think the matches that were there, I didn't expect to be as good as they were, especially with Orange Cassidy, AR Fox. I know how good AR is, but that was something else. I thought they ran that well. Breezy, what do you think?
Yeah, are we just talking about the opener?
Yep.
Okay, so I like the match. I want to talk about the ending of it because I feel like they rushed like 3 weeks of TV, boys, in one night. So we had the thing where they opened up with Darby putting over AR and everything is done for him, right? And that was good. And then at the end of the match, you had their little squabble in the aisleway there. And then later on in the night, and I'm sure we'll get to it, you had the turn during the swerve match. So why did they do that all in one night when Darby doesn't have his TNT title match till All Out, which is still a month away? You could have stretched that over like 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I liked the match. The match was solid. And I've always been a fan of Darby and AR.
And yeah, I will jump on. I think AR was solid in the match. I think the push was really good for him. If I'm going to think about it, when they're pushing a storyline that fast, I mean, we saw it with Swerve and Lee. It just never, ever finalized to the way we wanted it to. And maybe it's still going, and maybe that's what they're going to do is this gimmick long-term storytelling, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it'll just pop back up every once in a while, and then we'll finally get it. But I don't know if that's the right way to build it because it didn't come off nice.
It just felt rushed. I mean, Matt, Tank, Connor, what do you guys think?
I think you're right. Because they put that little vignette, that little video they put together for him, I thought was awesome and probably kind of introduced him to a lot of people about who he actually is. So I thought it was such a nice positive momentum that I think they could have gone, like you said, if they went another couple weeks, almost got the fans really behind him, like thinking that this guy is really good. He's kind of like the Ricochet, like he's talented. Everyone knows he's talented. Doesn't quite get he doesn't quite hit the level, then it goes back down. So I think they could have done a little bit more to really get the crowd behind him. And then when he turned on Darby, I think it would have way more impact instead of, like you said, like Breezy said, like it's like done. Like, oh, okay, right. So I think your point. WWE would have built it up for a few more weeks.
Yeah, but WWE would have had 6 months of planning on that individual, and then if it was going well, we know it would have got changed pre-show.
But he would have had so much more heat too, right? If they had at least dragged it out a few weeks.
Now, I will say the Dynamites as of late, and even with Collision, Darby, Nick Wayne, Swerve, all of these angles, I gotta say we're not seeing the big guys as much, which I really like. So, I mean, developing that much story between a whole crew of roster members that do not get that, like minus Darby, he always gets that, but I want to get back to Swerve when we get to it because that's a whole conversation for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if we move on, we end up walking into the Don Callis and Jericho stuff. What did you guys think about that backstage? What did you think about the painting? And yes, Breezy, I did order it. It's on its way.
Now, is that in the background of that painting? Is that Miro, who's supposed to be the god? Because it looks like Miro a lot.
No, it's Bad News Allen.
Bad News, yeah.
Bad News Island.
It looks a lot like Miro from a far distance.
Or Bad News Brown, as he was affectionately known in WWE.
Yes.
No.
But he was a
Canadian.
Stampede original. He lived out there forever.
Yeah. Do you guys ever, just kind of on that point, I always think, like, why isn't he ever brought up? He was actually a really badass wrestler. And I don't see him anytime. They never even bring him up. Even when they do like Black, like February, they do the, Black History Month, and they kind of go through all like the wrestlers. He's never in there. And he actually had a significant, like, he was rough. It's like, I don't know if you ever noticed that. Like, you never see anything with him.
That's a great point. I mean, and he wasn't one that really got pinned a lot either. Even think back to WrestleMania 6 with him and Piper. I mean, come on. They didn't even.
He had that kick to the head. That flying kick was awesome.
The ghetto
he was
blast.
doing that before.
I think when you're talking those Black History Month things, like, they're always going to go to the same, like, 5 or 6 people. And it's just kind of the way they do that, to be honest.
And hopefully that they're already getting paid so they don't have to fork out.
Exactly.
So I gotta say, I want to put over the whole Jericho bits, because the Sammy stuff and Garcia is so hot right now. Every time Jericho's just in those backstage segments, I've got to see what's going on. And leading off of Jericho, we got an announcement or a rumor for Wembley. I want to talk about it real quick while we're right here.
Hit it.
So if Jericho and Will Ospreay meet at Wembley, my heart is absolutely exploded, because those are 2 of my top guys. Jericho's been a long time up there. If they were to meet, it would be a dream match for me personally. However, what can Jericho offer Will in ring today? I mean, I'm scared of the match as much as I want to see it. What do you think of that, Matt?
I think because you got to think of the storytelling. So if you yes, the Jericho's his ring ability has gone down, but his storytelling and his charisma and the character and his ability to create a buzz is amazing. And I think that's what some of these guys love, to work with these guys who are veterans that know how to do it. And he knows when to heat, he knows when to do things. He's going to make Jericho, I think, look great too, which is awesome because I love Jericho.
I'm gonna love.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how they work together, and I think you're going to see Jericho do a few more acrobatic type stuff, just because he's going to have that support and look really good. So I think I'm going to be interested. It's going to be interesting to see if it actually happens. I think it'd be really entertaining, actually.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the Wembley show. So that's definitely going to be a big match.
I know a lot of people aren't really excited for that match because they want, Omega and Ospreay 3, but it's kind of relates into the same story because, Don Callis was with Omega. Well, not really Omega, but, it's still in the story. Like,
long term.
I think Jericho's going to end up pulling a swerve on Callis, and then they join the Callis. What are they called? The
Callis family.
Yeah, then it'll be Will Ospreay that Don Callis sends to attack Jericho, and then there's Jericho and Ospreay.
Yeah, I heard a rumor both Ospreay and Aussie Open will join the Callis family, but that's just rumor.
United Empire.
I could dig it.
Dynamite tomorrow, so
I could dig it.
Yeah, but what can Jericho offer Will Ospreay? The rub.
Hey,
yeah.
5-star general can use an American rub for sure.
I also wonder if Ospreay didn't want to do the Kenny match after being in the G1 for a month, of the expectation of what they'll have to do to top those first 2 matches. His body just might need a break from doing a match like that after a month of doing matches like that.
That's a great point.
Yeah. We never
Especially
got to
after-
talk about that match. That'd be great to talk about that match at some point.
Yeah, because I know that that head, a lot of people, especially Danielson, was really behind it. If you guys watched the post media scrums, it was like, did he need, like, what's the move that he did?
Driver.
Tiger 9. I don't know what it's called.
Dusty
but-
was wearing the shirt last week.
Yeah, Storm
Yeah.
Driver. Douche.
I know.
So I do want to talk about that match, but wouldn't that make a real great conversation piece for the? No, do you know what? We do have to do it. Let's go.
Are they saving it for Wrestle Kingdom? New Japan.
I would expect that.
Yeah, I don't think New Japan wants to give up that match.
I also think they can put it away and wait a bit.
Right.
Because I that's like heroin for me, what they did in that match. You don't want to give it to me too many times because I'm going to need it again. And those guys can't put it 3 matches in a year. Oh, my
especially
God.
Omega, because that head spot was pretty serious. Could have went sideways really easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you watch, that was professionally done. Like the way he carried him, he gave him that break at that last second and took his weight. He had the perfect angle on his neck. It was done perfectly how it needs to be. It wasn't a complete drop on his head. It was smart. It looked deadly.
Yeah.
Everything was perfect in that.
I like how
I bet you it was the entire break of the match that really tore him apart. But
I like what Danielson said. I like what Danielson said about the match. Like he goes to the doctors for like everything. I feel like that's how this new the new rules got implemented with Danielson, because before that was even a thing. The Forbidden Door post media scrum, he was like, I go to the doctors and like, can I do this? Can I do that move? Or so all this. Which I probably want to give Omega a little breathing room, because those matches with Ospreay are pretty hardcore. Not hardcore in wrestling style, but like move wise and a lot of the heavy moves that they do. And like Dusty was saying, you want to get that little breathing room because you don't want to overdo it.
Mm-hmm.
So between people like Jericho, we're going to segue into old guys we really hope still have it. Jack Perry and Jerry Lynn. Oh, that's the next segment that comes up. And I popped. Breezy?
This has so much potential. Like, they could take this any way they want to go. That's why I'm so excited. They could go the ECW route. They could do whatever they want with this thing. But if you guys remember last week, I said what I wanted Jack to do with that title. I wanted him to drag that thing and shove it in Taz and Hook's face. And he was dragging that bitch when he came out. But did you guys notice what Jack Perry was wearing when he came out?
Yeah.
Orange shorts.
There's a very subtle, not everybody saw it. He was wearing orange and black.
Yeah.
And the one thing you don't do to Taz is wear his colors, right? So that little poke, I love that. Just those subtle things where he's just being a dick, and you know he's being a dick, and I'm into it. I still hate the music, boys. It hasn't grown on me yet.
Me too.
But yeah, I'm digging Jack Perry, and if they go this ECW route, I mean, what ECW guys would you guys want to see him go up against?
I think that
Rob
answers-
Van Dam. Rob
Oh,
Van Dam.
I
Tommy
say
Dreamer?
Bully. I think Bully can still go, but RVD's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
I feel like it's gonna be a few of them. Like
Yeah, who's not broken?
TK could get the rights to Man in the Box, boys. I mean, that arena would pop.
but who would you have Jungle Boy or Jack Perry team with? Because I feel like it's gonna be a multi-man match if you do that. As someone said last week, you could do Luchasaurus and Christian Cage. And I like the idea someone had of the limo when he basically retired the Jungle character, and then in the limo, Christian Cage was driving it. That would have been a perfect move. But if it was a multi-man match, who would you put Jungle Boy with?
Well, you could do a gauntlet match. It doesn't really have to be a multi-man,
Yeah.
but that's if you want to kill it all in like one week. You could drag it out and just do one guy each week, leading up until either All In or All Out.
But why? What value is there for Jack's character to fight old guys? There's no value.
You're just putting him over.
I know, but you're just beating up old guys.
No,
Like,
but it's the AEW fan base that's diehard still ECW. So that would get Jack more over with that crowd, I think, as a heel.
I think if they're going to do that, they need to find like a younger guy and maybe back him. So like Sabu comes out, the guys almost like they come and support them, but they're too old. These guys are all beat up. It won't. It's gotta get someone younger.
This would work though, because I like the idea of Rob Van Dam, and then Rob Van Dam. You could even bring in Bully. You can bring in Impact. Help me, Breeze.
Tommy Dreamer.
And
Rhino.
then hold on.
Rhino.
The whole build is to bring Rhino to bring back Hook stronger than ever, and he's the final boss.
He's basically
that's your young guy that you need to put over. Give them another piece.
Hook would basically be carrying the ECW torch at the end of it,
and that really puts it on his shoulders. I think that might even do something for his character.
It's also good for his resume, even just when he's cutting promos. I beat this guy, beat that guy, beat this guy. Announcers can pump him up by saying he beat all these legends, blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff.
He's basically the legend killer in a way.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to see first. I think Jerry Lynn, because he looks like he's probably in the best shape out of a lot of those guys. Right?
Well, he never needed to be in shape.
Right. But in terms of just being old and being able to take bumps and stuff, so interesting. I'm hoping, I really hope at least it's a good effort. It's not like beating up on him. I don't want to see that. If he's actually going to go, then make him actually, be part of what he was, right? Like give some really good hits, do some good moves. What made him Jerry Lynn. Don't just put him there for the sake of it and, not it being really, really, half-assed or old version, right? So we'll see what happens and see how it's used and see how it goes over. And then maybe I'll change my mind.
Yeah, and I mean, Breezy, you went to the Greektown show, right?
Yeah.
That had RVD and Chan Decker go at it.
Yep.
And
that match was excellent, by the way.
Did he look like he couldn't go at any moment?
RVD still has it. He's never not had it.
Yeah. I have to only say that Bully Ray versus Josh Alexander, he took some serious work.
Bully can still go too. Bully.
So that's
Bully goes on Impact and the Indies all the time.
And Rhino can go. He's still working. So I mean, there's guys that actually can make him look good. So it's not like Jerry Lynn. I don't know because who's seen him actually go.
Well, they're doing not to interrupt you. They're doing a face-to-face, right?
Yeah.
So it's not. Is it going to lead to a match? I mean, I'm all for it. Like Matt was saying, if we even get a little glimpse of what the new effing show used to be, hell yeah, sign me up. And if he's wearing those colors again, the yellow and black, let's go.
I think Jerry Lynn has said that his neck is so bad that there's no way he could ever take a bump again in his life. But I mean, how many guys have said that and taken a bump again in their life? Almost all of them.
Yeah.
The bug is real. The sickness takes over, and you want to just take that extra, hey, how are you, head off in the sunset. And hey, Jerry Lynn deserves a proper send-off, if I'm honest.
Like, this is the first time, like, he's came on AEW, like, to break up fights or stuff like that. This is the first time really in a story, not counting ROH, AEW. Like, he's actually in a storyline that he's actually... Dean Malenko's been in a little... He's done a few things with Jericho, but them two are the main producers that haven't really done much.
So running along, we'll move on to Bastard and Pac versus Gravity. What is that? Bandito's brother or cousin? Justin, tell me what you thought of that.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not really that impressed with Gravity.
No.
He's a Bruce Hart of that family. Call it out. But, I mean... Like the match at the ROH pay-per-view wasn't great with Commander, I think. That's what it was. And the past few matches, we'll get the other one. But yeah, like I'm not that impressed with him. The Pac match, like they did, it was like basically a 10-minute squash match, really.
Yeah. But do you believe Neville forgot him? Or did he forget Neville?
I believe that Neville forgot Neville a long time ago.
Okay. So then we hit the blind eliminator tag team tournament winners, MJF and Adam Cole, leading up for the big match of the week.
Mm-hmm.
How are we still in on this?
It's entertaining.
Yeah.
It's getting a bit silly, and I think that's what people are enjoying it and getting a kick out of it. So they're just going with it. Like, again, like last week I said, this is like pure. This is sports entertainment, right? That these guys are doing it. It's funny. Normally, you're like, if it keeps on going like this, it's going to get a bit corny, right? You're like, oh, okay. But you can see it's leading. So maybe next week you'll see a turn because they keep on showing it. They get that end bit, and they're all like back and like, you know. So, anyways, it's entertaining, but we'll see what happens. And the fans into it. Like that's what's great. At the end of the day, it's a show. And the live crowd was so into it. And I think that just emphasizes them to be even extra when the crowd's behind them as performers. So again, it made for good TV.
What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Tank, what is your thought on that? You were all about the MJF and Adam Cole last week.
Yeah, I still am. It's not corny or played out for me yet. Like I'm still very much liking him, but I'm a very big MJF mark in general.
And I mean, not to foreshadow the rest of our show, but I mean, what do they do next is going to be the question every time they touch the screen. And so far, have they disappointed?
I don't think that.
Yeah.
No.
Was this the first time? When was the last time MJF got pinned?
Good
Because
question.
he got pinned. So
Possibly against Wardlow, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Could be wrong.
So that's interesting. That shows the baby face part of him getting in the trunk, getting pulled on him, and like that was good. But do you think is this what's leading up to? I mean, the next few weeks, and this is going to lead up to to Wembley. These two going at it. I mean, is this what it's leading up to?
If it's not, well, yeah. I mean, Wembley would make sense.
Unless they
Timing-wise,
keep
I mean, I wouldn't put it on All Out.
Yeah, unless they keep Wembley as a mystery show like you predicted last week.
Yeah.
Are we heading towards that, perhaps? I don't know.
I'm all right with it.
They got like 3,000 tickets left. That thing's done. It's sold out anyway. So
how many are they at right now? What's
77,000, I believe.
That's insane.
It's
That's
unreal.
That's awesome.
Not even a match, only rumors.
Has any matches?
I think-
no, called that right?
Oh, there is one.
And I think it was
match.
Bully Ray said this. Bully Ray said this week that he didn't think they needed to announce any matches either.
No, I mean, with what they did at Forbidden Door, if it comes in with that same feel that we brought friends, we're going to spend some money because we made some money. Tony knows how to put on a dream match extravaganza. It happened. We saw it. So
there is one match that might be happening, but I don't want to talk about that till we get to.
yeah, let's.
A little teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one guy that should be at Wembley is Darby, and he went after Swerve. Now I want to talk about Swerve.
How good was that match, boys?
I said it a while back that I think Swerve may be one of the most underrated sellers. So when he's in a match, I need you guys to look at his facials because there is some pain in his eyes and he sells so well. And for him to be sneaky Swerve, which is so neat how he can just move around and then all of a sudden he kicked out your leg and you didn't even see it coming. He places his moves so well.
Yeah, he's definitely the crowd pops. He now has a following. Like people are really getting behind him, and people are seeing exactly what we're saying. And I think you can see a lot of the other stars want to work with him, like Orange Cassidy did, and then you know I mean like Darby does, because he can, like you said, he can sell amazingly. He can make anyone. He can make the biggest guys. He can put them over, right? And he's good with that, and he puts his body on the line. And I think honestly, I think he's either going to be he's going to be one of the probably in 6 months. He's got to have some championship belt. Either it's a TNT or North, like
international.
Yeah, he should have had the international. Me and Drummond even talked about it in the match. He was really pushing for OC, but I was really sure he was going to take the title then. And I still think it would have been the right move, because seeing it now, it's the international title just keeps getting played, and I'm like, we got that show. Let's move on. Let's put it on Swerve and see what he can do with a belt. But
but I think him if he wins soon, then now that they've kind of put together, it looks like the faction he's got is starting to really come into shape. But I think if he wins the belt, it's going to make now the faction even stronger and more legit. So I think it's good that they maybe waited, because now he's going to walk out. Now he's got Aaron Fox, because he's always been switching with those guys, right? It was kind of getting really consistent, with the Mogul affiliate. So this, it feels a lot more stable, and this is what's going to happen. So I'm excited. I think it could be a good faction, as long as they don't rush things and break it apart and don't let it fizzle out. If they just stick with it, I think it could be really good.
You're not a lot of reaction for Dynamite. I mentioned the same thing Dusty mentioned about his reactions to stuff, the way he sells stuff, the way his facial expressions. It reminds me of Kurt Angle, because if you guys remember, like Kurt Angle would cry during matches, like TNA, he would cry. He would if he couldn't get Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels is a best example for that. He would literally pout and throw tantrums, and the facial reactions. Then he made it seem like he actually was dying in the ring. But it made a similarity. Swerve had that similarity. I agree with Dusty about his facial reactions and stuff like that.
Yeah, it definitely makes you feel something. I just want to hit the two spots. The house call off the stairs. Oh, ridiculous. Absolutely insane. And then the Death Valley driver off the top rope onto the ring apron.
Nice.
God, that shit was crazy, man. But they always have bangers. They were having bangers in Defy, right? Yeah. So no, it was a fun match, but yeah, great point on the facials, and nice shout on Angle and Shawn Michaels, because those are two guys that always made me feel something. And Swerve is the same thing. He's always made me feel. I give a shit when he's wrestling, and I care if he wins or loses. And I can't say that about a lot of guys in AEW, but I do care if Swerve wins or loses for sure.
Weird, right? Though, and he's been taking some L's over recently when it's the match that matters. But then you still feel, you're like, it's his time. Come on.
He gets right there. Like even with the last title shot against OC.
He's playing to just the tip on me, and I'm like, come on.
Such a cock tease.
Yeah. Speaking of cock tease, we move on to Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Taya Valkyrie. Leading into this match, on paper, I thought it would be it looks right.
High hopes.
But
Botchamania 57. Tell me when I'm lying.
This match didn't hit the spotlight for me.
No chemistry.
I'm starting to think that Britt can only get the big match when it's the other person pulling weight. And I'm starting to fear that thought, that after the Thunder Rosa match, what has she done in ring that's kept her the face of the women's division?
Well, you know what I've noticed? It seems like when it's like a big storyline match is the only time she seems to deliver, which ends up being a pay-per-view match. On these just random TV matches, she just doesn't seem interested. But if there's a story involved, like she builds to the story itself.
I think it's I was going to say I think it's because some characters just happen to think with when Seth Rollins went babyface, the mouthpiece that made him where you started to love to hate him. When you're a face, you can't say certain things anymore, and people loved what was coming out of Britt's mouth when she was a heel, and they loved it, and they got over so well that again, now that she's a babyface, that's your point. You're not remembering anything. You're not even remembering her promos. You're not remembering any of those things, but you remembered her promos when she was a heel because they were hilarious, So I think it's kind of like Rollins. Rollins had to. He didn't. He wasn't as over as a face, right? So maybe something's going to happen where she's going to go back, maybe a new character transformation, or go back to a heel, so we can get those promos back again, and maybe get her character, kind of a kickstart again.
Yeah. And I mean, she looks up to Jericho pretty heavily. I mean, who invents himself better, right? That's a mind that you want to be able to have that ability to pick off of for that. This also leads to the conversation about book the women better. That sign went up in the crowd, and you look at the women's division with the right writing team, creative team. There's a lot of talented women on this roster that easily and has shown, and it's throughout bunkhouse brawls, lights out matches, like the roster as a whole could do some amazing things. Now, how do we get that mindset mainstream that we don't want to go take a pee when the women's match comes out? Like, what is it that they have to do to go, hey, this is something I'm going to be watching I watched that Swerve match, like I didn't take my eyes off once, and then Britt and Taya come out, and I love them both, but I'm not going to put in that much effort.
Tag titles.
That 930 hole is not helping them one bit.
I'll say if you create proper tag teams, get that chemistry back. Now you've got two women who can create an identity and characters. I mean, that's a brilliant thing through history of wrestling. When two guys are struggling, throw them together, give them an identity, see what they can do as a tag team. So now if you have a tag team division, now there's actually something else to watch for. Now you can create characters, you can create those bonds. Now you get 4 women entertaining at one time instead of 2. So there's different kind of chemistries I think you'll see with that. And there's a way more charisma. I mean, I can see right now what they're doing in WWE. You can see that, some of the tag team, the women's has that character, a bit of identity they created. So I really think AEW needs to open it up. And I think that would help. Either more women have work, more identities, new characters, and something to strive for, and actually have another division. I don't know what you guys think about that, but
I disagree 100%. I'm sorry. I think AEW needs to lose at least 6 to 8 titles before they bring in new titles. But I see that. I'm thinking, when was the last time you saw a woman-on-woman segment that didn't involve Britt or Saraya that was building something? You got Sky Blue. She can go. She's shown us. The crowd likes her. Where is her backstage segment that builds her into something? Don't put her back with Madison Rayne. Let's see her get pissed off at somebody for some reason and make it worth watching. I think that's on everybody. Be better.
I think the best women's match on pay-per-view, at least, is Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter. I was there for that, and just the fan, the reaction, the crowds were that's what everyone was on their feet for that entire match, probably. Everyone's on their feet for that match. TV, I guess you'd say Britt and Thunder Rosa, but they got potential because they got talented women. It's not like they don't have talented women. They definitely need more TV time. At least 2 times out of the month, they should have 2 matches, more backstage promos, something more. they can't keep on going the way they're going. They're gonna have to give them more opportunities. They got 5 hours of TV, so there is time to give them something more besides just one match per show.
I don't think a match is the problem. It's they've got to do something
Well,
different.
matches create stories, so if you had more matches, then
Can you guys name 5 active women on the AEW roster that you care about even being involved in a storyline? Go.
Yeah.
Tony Storm.
Okay.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
fine.
I'll still go with Ruby.
I can name probably Tony Storm, Athena, Chris Statlander,
Abaddon.
Abaddon.
What? Yes. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's the
she's a
Mankind
character.
man. Like, fuck.
She's a character for sure.
How about watching ROH to find out Layla Hirsch is back and I didn't even see it? Like, why is she not on a Dynamite for a return and attack somebody? Boom. Oh, why'd she attack Sky Blue? Now you have a match. All right. Now we'll put this match on because this happened. Here's the lead into the match. Now you've got a story.
I think they at least need on TV like talking segments. Like we haven't seen barely any just women like actual in-ring talking. Like maybe Britt Baker
Britt and the
Ruby
Outcasts.
Soho.
That's the only thing.
Maybe Britt Baker and Ruby Soho one time.
What's her name again? Who's with the House of Black? They're actually
Julia.
Hart.
I mean, she needs work, ring work, but at least like they're developed, invested in a character, and she's part of something that's interesting. So they took her. I think of anybody, changed her to make something better. I think, anyways, from the cheerleader to this, and she's staying with it. You can see she's trying to work the character. She's trying to stay in character. She looked pretty hot in that outfit, the last one, though. So at least they're having her kind of match up and keeping her, keep level with the House of Black with everyone else, which is cool. And I love how Brody King comes out with her almost like this big giant bodyguard. Yeah, and kind of walks behind her, which is I think is kind of cool.
No, I agree. I actually didn't think about it until you said it. I think Julia Hart might be the most over female right now because she's with a crew that works. Her character works. People don't get mad when she's in ring. That works.
And it's the character. Yeah. It's the character they created, right? It's because her matches are short. She's still kind of going against jobbers. They're slowly building up her technique, but her success isn't going to be more in the ring action. It's how they build her up as the character outside, right? And how she keeps it and keeps with the House of Black. So she's always on TV, and I think she's creating that mystique. So I think they're doing a great job not having to rely on her skills. Yeah.
So we talked more about the women's matches than they have given us in 2 weeks right now. We'll run into the main event here. It's the Best Friends versus BCC and Lucha Bros. And I was shocked at the win. I was happy, but it wasn't something like you should have done that swerve match as the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
It just felt like it had more on the table.
I agree.
So we run over to Rampage, and nobody needs to really watch Rampage, but I'll let you know there was an awesome tag team battle royal. Hey, yeah, that's the only way to get people to watch. And notice they do it first thing so that we can watch it and turn off the rest.
Can I just say one thing about the main event from Dynamite, bro?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it was a good match. It was a match, and whatever, it is what it is. The Lucha Bros won. So the BCC was all over this show, right?
Yeah.
The Elite was nowhere to be found. The Elite won Blood and Guts. What was up with that? Why wasn't the Elite on Dynamite at all? Why weren't they mentioned? Why was it all about BCC? And then why, if you're building the entire episode around the BCC, did you not put them over in the end? The little things like that is, and I love TK, but that shit infuriates me, boys. Like it's so frustrating to me because I'm seeing Mox running around.
Them over?
Pardon?
Because didn't they put them over in the end? They gave them their shakes after Moxley got uncuffed.
That wasn't on TV though. Who cares?
Yeah,
like, what portion?
You had to see it online.
Yeah, what percent of the audience actually saw that? But I'm saying we're talking about Dynamite, right? 2 hours of Dynamite, we don't even hear about the Elite. They don't even do a backstage. They don't do anything. But they went over in Blood and Guts, and then the entire episode you're putting over the BCC only for them to lose in the main event. I get it; they didn't take the pinfall, but still,
it kind of feels like
for the street.
It kind of feels like the Blackpool Combat Club won, but they really didn't. Like the way they're portraying it.
Yeah.
But why would you do that if you're the booker?
If I'm trying to get other guys TV time and I've promised them to get their spotlight, and then Darby's sitting there and he's got all of his friends from Seattle and he's like, I want to play. Well, we'll give you the whole show. I mean, he had 2 big matches that all of those guys played a part in something. So, I mean, we've got like a multi-man storyline building up through this. So I get it. I would have loved to see it. I mean, even just a pre-tape, whatever. But we don't question Lord and Savior TK. But in that tag team battle royal, a shocking win.
The crowd was really into Big Bill, weren't they, Dusty?
He's over.
Wow. Is that just because they were in Albany, you think?
No, it Hamilton, when he came out, we started chanting some fun stuff on his ROH match, and he was showing nonstop character. We started a big booty Bill chant, and he was shaking it. They were calling him Stanky Jeans, and he was loving it. So, with that, I was like, that's the first time I've seen him grab to the crowd with charisma. I think it's been being done at ROH shows, and Tony's like, okay, we got to get that on TV.
Yeah, I went to a house show. It was like House Rules. He did that. He did some of the same things, but it was Lee Moriarty, Big Bill versus Darby and Orange Cassidy, and Big Bill got on he tried to use the skateboard and round the ring and tried to skate. He tried to go on the skateboard, and he was like really dancing and showing a little bit more charisma than we're used to seeing. So I definitely see what it seems like. He's got a little bit more charisma now.
Imagine Big Bill is the answer to Brian Cage finally getting over.
It's like Matt was saying earlier. It's characters. If that will at least put him into something that somebody can get invested in. It's not just a big guy doing cool moves and he can jump off the top rope here and there. If you're actually invested in the tag team, because they're in the #1 contenders now for something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, FTR this Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I missed that.
Who better?
Yeah. I will say that Brian Cage, there's a few promos he's been doing pretty good in ROH. I remember there was one with him and the Embassy, which is really pretty good. I'm actually really good friends with Brian Cage. Talk to him almost mostly every day, but occasionally. But
name drop.
You're right. Subtle name drop.
Yeah, just subtle name drop. Not a big deal.
So when's he on the show?
Sushi, who better?
Who, Brian Cage?
Yeah.
There are a lot of issues with AEW. It's a lot of stuff with AEW, really. Because it doesn't make sense. I'll probably say this off air, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into AEW talent on podcasts and stuff.
I feel like since you guys, Dusty and Matt, mentioned the House of Black earlier, Julia Hart's sending some voodoo to these screens because they're kind of flickering.
Mm-hmm.
So we move through. We'll kill off Rampage real quick. Commander and Kip, decent match, 3 stars max. Kingdom, however, I do want to pop in there because Young Jai Lee, who ran through Ontario Indies, teamed up with Hayden Backlund.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was, of course, wanted to know the question, and this is what I found out. In an interview with Hayden Backlund, he is indeed related to former 2-time world heavyweight champion and Hall of Famer Bob Backlund, but it's distant. From what I've been told with an interview with Closed Fist, he said he was his great-grandfather's cousin. But until he looks at his hands, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
That's awesome.
They closed the show as we're talking about women not getting time. Sheeta with Nyla Rose. Shocking. It was actually pretty decent, but there was no story to it. Nothing really was built up for me.
No, they got a lot of time, but again, yeah, it's just a match. And with no character, no reason to care about who wins or loses, I don't give a shit. Yeah, they had a good match.
So, Rampage Dynamite out of the way. Collision wins again this week.
Yep.
Easy winner. Starting with the first match, Andrade and Buddy. We talked enough about Buddy, so I don't want to go in on him as much as we need to. What a freaking match to open a show with. I'll give you, Matt. Did you check this one out?
I didn't see this match because for some reason my PVR didn't record this week, but I caught up on some of the other important storylines that happened. So I'll let you guys finish that.
All right, Breezy, hit me with how much you enjoyed Andrade and Buddy Matthews. If you didn't enjoy it, don't talk to me anymore.
This match was awesome. I mean, this had everything. This had great technical wrestling. This had high spots. This had involvement with Julia Hart and the handcuffs. This was, and the fact that it was an opener, it could have been the main event. That's how good it was. And this is how consistent Collision is. They open with a solid match and they close with a solid match. And either one could flip flop and be the main event. I agree with you that it was definitely the show of the week for AEW, but this match was freaking awesome. And normally, if a match isn't for something, I don't really give a shit. For example, like the Battle Royal coming up at SummerSlam, what does the winner get? Winner gets nothing. A box of Slim Jims, maybe.
The mask. It was important.
I know it's a mask, so I shouldn't really care, but I did care. When Andrade was handcuffed, I actually cared. I'm like, oh, they're gonna burn this. They're gonna burn his mask, guys. Like, come on, I want him to get it. And then when he reversed it, I was into it. I was into the whole match. The sunset flip in the aisleway. I mean, onto the other ladder. Freaking insane, boys.
It looked mean.
And just doing it instead of in the ring, because we've seen that spot before in the ring, but this falls again under Collision doing different things that nobody else is doing. They did it in the aisle. That was unique, and I loved it.
The one thing I really loved about this match is I know how good Andrade is. His first run with AEW, we didn't really get to see him go. And with his history with Malachi, they want to work together, the whole thing. So you can get a good chunk of really good in ring. But instead of just giving him a one-on-one, which we've seen, and they just tear it down, they go, we're doing ladders. That's not even the end of the story. That's literally right smack dab in the middle.
That's what I was talking about earlier about the.
That was announced, wasn't it?
Well, it wasn't. Well, I feel like it is going to be announced, but Andrade hinted at it on Twitter.
Yeah.
But
because of the Netherlands.
It's looking like it's going to be Malachi Black and Andrade at All In, which I like Collision because there's actually stories. Like, this has gone on since episode 1 of Collision. We're on now episode 7, and they've kept on going with it. And then the matches mean more when there's a story. So that, like Breezy was saying, the ladder match, it was for something. Like, they built it up each week. And we haven't seen Andrade and Malachi Black until now, but one-on-one, I'm really looking forward to that if that actually happens at All In.
Yeah, no, I want to see that. Right after that, we got a little Miro. I don't care. I want Miro on TV. But the next match I have to give to Justin. Here we go. It's Darby versus Minoru Suzuki.
So, I popped. I was very unexpected. Like, you would think with Minoru Suzuki, like, you'd announce that ahead of time. But when that music hits every single time, you just get chills no matter what. And it was just beautiful.
Now, there was
Even though they
something that got
interrupted
you angry.
Yeah.
Even though they interrupted the music, which makes me angry every single time. You should never interrupt Kaz on the NRA. But
That's it.
yeah, I mean, Minoru Suzuki, anytime he's on the screen, it just seems special. I wish they would announce it ahead of time. But, I mean, it was good. It was a good match. I mean, not Orange Cassidy. Darby can work with, I think, anybody. And I think that just proved that he can work with anybody of any size and still look legitimate and not out of place.
I like my son is really into Darby, and as he's training, I try and get him to look at Darby's matches because every match has the same style of story where this in ring the cards are stacked against him. He's going to get thrown down every well possible, but he's going to climb out. The relentless. He could go the entire match getting his ass kicked and in that last second sneak in the W. And just the idea of how far you have to let the other person take the match in the direction they want, and he still gets that little bit to make it believable. So I like having Darby having so much going on. But with Minoru in AEW, I really love him being here more often. I want him to, when he does decide to put the boots in the center of the ring, I want America, I want Canada, I want the everywhere to know who he is because of his history and his longevity and what he's done for the culture. So I'm always down to see some Minoru.
I will say before AEW, before he came on AEW, I didn't know who he was until he came on AEW. So that proves
And
your
that's
point.
exactly what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happening. And just the way he, like some of the things, if you saw what he did to Asuka and when he young boyed her in a match in Japan, I want to talk about it for a sec. She was Kata, is it? Breeze?
Kana.
And he took her and absolutely slapped her silly. There was all taking liberty, and it's a coming of respect in wrestling in Japan for you to get young boyed by a veteran leader. And he took it on Asuka, which now we see how far she's gone. It's that
What is that? I've
cultural
never heard.
difference.
So what is that young boy? Like, what is that? So you're saying, what's that process? I don't know.
Young boying is when you get your ass actually beaten by the leaders. So in ring and in show, when they're leaving, they'll beat all of the trainees up. Most of those are stiff potatoes. Now, obviously, times have changed even in Japan, but when you go back further to the early 2000s, mid 2000s, it was still a prevalent act where it's almost like hazing in junior hockey.
Yeah, it's paying your dues.
Yeah, but she took a beating from him and she loved every minute of it because of what it made her after the fact. It's definitely something cultural shock for us to see because we're like, what is happening here? And the match was just all over the place. You couldn't tell who was with who.
The more and more people that get exposed to Minoru, like in North America, I just want them to eventually go back and just watch the entire run of Suzuki Gun.
Oh, it's so good.
Like, just that
They
alone.
should have put the title on him, taken it right off Okada for at least 3 months, but that's for our New Japan that will start up next. You never know what's in the bag with AEZ, you know what I mean? Speaking of what's in the bag, I'm loving these segues, boys, because what was in the bag? Breezy, was it Damien?
It wasn't Damien.
Who was in the bag?
Not this time. Looked like the Real World's title. I mean, we bringing back the storyline from 1992 with Hogan and Flair. If we are, I'm into it.
Yes.
It feels more when Razor came back, or was it Sean came back with the IC title, and he's like, "I'm the real champion." That's what kind of reminds me of.
Yeah, that was good too.
Right?
Led to the epic ladder match. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that kind of reminded me of that.
I really hope that they have replica title belts of that title, because it's kind of funny where he spray painted, like what he marked out, because the first place where he spray painted was the E of Elite. I still think we're getting that match. I don't know when, but it's just real small hints that we're gonna get it.
Or it's just CM Punk being CM Punk and talking shit. But we'll all want to see it. So now we have a belt at both shows, and Ricky hits. And then we know Ricky wants that title. So we're going to get a shot, and we're going to see a hell of a match. And does he put over Ricky a second time, or does he keep his title?
Let's give Ricky a little bit of props here on the whole. He came out, and then he told the crowd, okay, let's pretend you didn't see me. And I'm going to go back. And then I'm going to come back again. And then the way Nigel sold it, oh, my God, it's Ricky Starks. I mean, I was dying, boys.
Yeah.
That shit was hilarious. I mean,
It
was perfect. Those little things, every
intentional?
little thing that they do differently on Collision that they're not doing on Dynamite. I mean, from the commentary to even when Punk cut the promo on the outside of the ring, the one episode, instead of in the ring, all these little things. It's the best. I love Collision, and I'm digging the Ricky and Punk storyline. And are we going to recognize this title as a real world title?
I think we're gonna see after this match.
Yeah,
where
It's
they're
going to be
headed.
very interesting because we were talking last week about recognizing the FTW title as a real world title, and then now here's a whole nother title that we have to wait to see if they're going to sanction and make legit.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the FTW title is kind of like the 24/7 champion. Like they're kind of like, yeah. It's kind of like it needs a little more oomph, and I feel like it's going to be like the new SmackDown championship, with that type.
Yeah, the Raw championship. It's Seth Rollins' title.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it kind of feels, which is fine. I'm fine with having a title for a proper title for every show, right? So everyone kind of gets it. To some more storylines that have some power behind it. So I'm not opposed to it. You can't have too many shows and not enough titles, because then that one guy or that one team takes over every show. So, but you're kind of seeing now with, but I don't know. I know what you guys think on that. If you're ready for another world title.
I mean, he never got pinned or submitted for it. So, and I'm a huge Punk fan. Maybe not as big as Connor, but what do you think, Connor? He never got pinned or submitted for it, so he's a legit right to be a world champ. No.
Yeah, he mentioned it in his promo. He beat John Moxley for it, which this is kind of a flashback to Money in the Bank. Not really, though. I'm really curious to see if we get Punk and MJF, and whoever wins is the undisputed AEW World Champion.
But please don't say undisputed. Please don't use undisputed. If they're going to do
call
this.
it that because they did the same thing with Moxley and Punk, and then they used the term one time, then it just faded away.
Because it's so used, right? Because that's what it's all about. That's what WWE is.
I hope they don't do that.
The undeniable world champion.
There you go. I'll take that.
But and
undesirable.
Not to forget, Ricky Steamboat's going to be special guest referee in this.
Great point. Yeah, we just breezed right over that.
And I recently just watched some of the ROH stuff, and as Punk says, someone from his past, and he's refereed a few of Punk's matches.
Yeah. So we do get to see the Dragon back, and that's always a fun trip because, I mean, if we're talking IC, I want to see Ricky involved in the conversation, right? That guy is an absolute legend. Oh, man, what a match.
One of the greatest of all time.
Yep, and it's not even arguable.
It still holds up today, too.
Totally.
Imagine a prime Ricky Steamboat versus Ricky Starks. That would have been something.
Imagine a prime Randy Savage versus CM Punk.
Imagine a prime MJF versus Steamboat.
Ooh, or Piper.
Ooh. All right.
It's getting tasty.
That show will come.
Dream Match Roulette.
Do you know who else is coming? Juice. He's back. Put him on TV all day. Juice Robinson's on the TV, I'm watching. You got the guns, you got Juice, rock hard, and then you give me a bunch of these so entertaining to watch guys go. Darius Martin, El Hijo del Vikingo, and Action Andretti. I'm sorry, I like watching the boys go, and they had a fun match. This match actually went hard. I wasn't expecting it to go as hard as it did with who they were fighting. But the peak of the match was Jay White showing up in cardboard form. He had to be there for it. I was marking out hard for this one. What do you think, Justin? I know you love Action Andretti.
That's Mario's son. How can you not?
Yeah.
I mean, the match was okay. I don't know if I have as high praise for it as you do. I mean, to me, that was a definition of just a match. I mean, they're all good. I mean, we all know that I've been an Austin Gunn guy since day one. And I love Juice, so I mean, I love all those guys, but I just don't know at this point what they're building to with the Bullet Club Gold after the tag title match. It's they're kind of left in limbo again.
So, I mean, once you kind of leave them in limbo for a couple weeks, let's get through All Out, and then let's get them going at Malachi and the crew.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. That puts on good TV for a bit, but I'm okay with it as long as I get to see some of these guys because Viking can go.
Yeah.
Bullet Club Gold is still racking up wins. That's the important thing here. Even without their gracious leader not being there, but he was there in spirit and cardboard form, they still look stronger than ever. And all I gotta say is guns up, boys.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys, the Guns theme song, for some reason, I really like it. I don't know what it is with the sound of it. And they came out, I don't, if they're still doing their own, I haven't seen them on their own, if they're just completely taken over now with the Bullet Club Gold kind of entry. But I don't know, something about what they did, the way they had a pan and then doing in the guns and with the drink. I kind of love to hate them. I hate them, but they're just so good. And I think they're great actors and they sell. Which one's the smaller one? Is that Austin?
Austin.
The way he sells and the way he moves his body, like, it's hilarious. I think he's really talented.
So the guns are fantastic. I hated the intro when it first happened, like the first 3 weeks. Then they did Many Men and it blew everybody out of the freaking water. That shit was crazy. But the fact it was just a one-off, and then now that they've gone back to this like old Western style, it's growing on me too. I like it a lot. Whereas I hope to never say that about Jack Perry's intro.
Yeah, you will. The one thing about Austin and his selling, shades of Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
He bounces hard for the boys.
Nice shout.
He does.
I really see that.
Yeah.
You know what I don't see? This women's match getting a lot of eyes. Kira Hogan and Mercedes Martinez. I like both girls. I do. But they came out of nowhere with the match, and we're still on the exact same topic. So it's not between a Dynamite thing. It's still going on Collision because there was no reason.
But I will say, at the end of it, it does look like it's going to be turned into a story. It's kind of I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but a multi-women TBS match. So it's looking Chris Statlander, Mercedes, and Willow. Yeah. So at least there is a story in place, but hopefully it lasts not this story, but hopefully they keep on with this, like stories with women after the big events, like All In or All Out.
Now it's time for the main event. What a match. What a match. Dax and MJF alone had me with their backstage promos, he better not have talked about my daughter or my family, or I'm gonna tear his eyes out. Like, I mean, it was everything they placed to the build, because they immediately called out the comedy shtick and they said, we're not doing that. And then they went into the ring and they had a legit match, but they were still able to get that silliness aside without it looking corny in ring.
Mm-hmm.
Dax can go. It's just ridiculous that how good that guy is at wrestling. And I don't want him to end as like Arn Anderson and just being the tag team wrestler who could go. The guy is unbelievable storyteller, and Cash is always going to be his Marty, but he's at least good.
Wow.
Tell me I'm wrong here. Tell me when I'm lying.
I like them
Tully.
both.
You know, he's at least Tully.
Jesus.
He's Tully.
Nobody wants to be the Marty Jannetty.
No, he's Tully. He's Tully.
Yeah.
He's Tully. He's Tully to the Arn. I thought Arn definitely was more talented, but they both fit. So yeah, I would say he's Tully, not the Marty.
It's just, how does it end? Like, if they were to break up tomorrow, Dax's singles career would be good. We all can agree there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tully had a good singles career too. He's a TV champion and stuff. So I mean, Cash could go for like the international title or something like that.
Could he though?
Yeah. He could start.
I think so. He's a utility like type of worker. You know,
he's a good hand.
Yeah, he's a great hand.
We've seen shades of that. Him and Punk, him and
they've all been good. Brian.
Yeah, there was a few other singles matches. Brian Daniel. Yeah. There's been a few singles matches he's done in AEW.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Dax shined last year. Dax shined last year in when he entered the Owen Hart. That's when everybody was really like, wow, he can go as a singles.
And there was even talk about him making PWI's top wrestler just with the quality of matches leading up to voting.
Yeah.
Now, it was fan speculation, but I mean, that was still strong. I mean, Childish Gambino could be Spider-Man next week. It was legit if the internet could run it.
Yeah.
But all in all, the match was solid. And then we go to that last segment where they started pulling on your heartstrings. When Adam Cole, baby, was standing there saying, just do it. Do what you've got to do. I was in. I was so invested that I couldn't even look away for a second without knowing if he's going to. And then he throws it down, and I'm like, wait, what?
Okay.
All right, let's see what's happening. And now we get to the point of, what are they going to do next? Because we had a hug-a-thon to end it.
See, this is cinema, though. But where are they going with it, boys?
We're going to watch. We have to watch because the Roddy stuff. I mean, Kyle O'Reilly, I just read something recently that we don't have a return stated, and it could be longer than we thought.
That's unfortunate.
There's stuff there. There's stuff brewing.
I'm still sticking with my Adam Cole heel turn on him.
Yeah, because it's kind of like he's got MJF in a different position that when he turns, he's gonna break his heart because they've bonded this friendship. They've done all these things, and when it happens,
could it be enough for MJF to go to that face?
Or match.
I know, because he's so goddamn good as a heel.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like Matt was saying, if Adam Cole's the one who turns, this might be the final nail in the coffin for Max to never trust anybody ever again. I mean, he got burned by his fiance. He's been burned by Jericho. He's been burned by Sammy. And now he's like, no pun intended, he's all in on Adam Cole, baby. And man, if baby...
That's exactly. He's like, I'm never trusting anyone again, and I see what happens when I was nice. Never again. So I think totally.
If Bay
stays heel on it,
and then you're really gonna get the devil, the Max that everybody doesn't want, and when I say doesn't want, I mean the roster. I don't mean the fans.
I can agree with you, but when we're looking at the two of them, because two people have to walk away from the storyline looking good. If Cole turns on him, I don't think the fans will let him be face.
To let who?
Adam Cole.
No, Adam Cole would be the heel, like Matt said.
So would MJF continue being face, or is he going to be the? Oh, okay. So like a Stone Cold, I don't trust.
Yeah,
anymore.
tweener.
Ooh,
He would be a tweener.
ooh.
Yes.
That's
Maybe like
candy in the jar.
Cold,
I like
kind of
that
like a
one.
Rock, kind of like when the Rock was a heel, but still was that flamboyant, still doing things crap. Like he still had that Rock appeal, but as a heel, right? So you can still like him, you can still cheer for him. He doesn't get cheesy, and he still can be hardcore, and it still sells as a face.
Yeah. This isn't sing along with the champ like that. So yeah. That's classic.
So, anyways, we great. See, we now we have it on tape because if we can go back and see, I mean, watch it blows up my face and I'm completely wrong, but who knows, right? Now we actually have these recorded, so we can go back and say, yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Could you guys see?
I feel like I was scared that they didn't turn MJF face in time, that it wasn't going to work and he had to stay heel. But right now, the way the crowd is acting towards this, I don't know what it is. He's getting excited about a double clothesline, a body slam, the basic moves, and it's fun. And we love it. And he's pandering senselessly to the crowd, and we're eating it up, and he knows he can keep this going. But then once he turns asshole, I'm still the champ, and we still love him for it. And then we've got the devil worshippers back. Okay. The one thing left that I want to see out of Adam Cole, baby, is I want a team to back Adam Cole. But I don't want it to be an undisputed team. And I don't want it to be elite.
Guns up?
Not a chance are the Bullet Club involved.
Kingdom.
What are you getting at?
Yeah.
They're getting hot on ROH and they're giving them the pushes. And if you've listened, I've listened to a couple podcasts with Mike Bennett, and his sober mind is working. He is putting on different style of matches. He's now taking it to his ROH level when he didn't care. And my boy Breezy loves Taven, so why can't we get him up a bit more?
So OGK?
We actually had Matt Taven on here for an interview, and I asked him that question: would he like to get back with Adam Cole and the Kingdom? And I can't really. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no, but he seemed open to it. I definitely recommend anyone watching to go back to that interview. We're on the subject. It could happen, because we don't have a timetable for Kyle O'Reilly. It's looking like 2024 is his return, but you never know with injuries. I like to see Kingdom.
Yeah, I think it would be refreshing because we've seen Kyle O'Reilly for the last 5 years. We've seen the Bullet Club stuff enough, but his crew that really put him on the map, minus Mount Rushmore, because that was PWG strictly. But I think I would really enjoy that. So as we came to an end, we got a hug, and that was the end of the show. That was our week. We agree. Collision had them quality matches, but there's still so much good content coming out of AEW. And looking at our show coming up, we've got Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship, Aussie Open, and El Hero del Vikingo and Commander. Whoa, that's going to be a killer. We get to hear from MJF, so he's going to be talking. We got Hikaru Shida versus Toni Storm, which sounds delicious for a women's match. I actually am very happy about that because Shida always puts on a good time, and Tony's just brilliant. So,
is this Dynamite 200?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
We got the face-to-face with Jerry Lynn and Jack Perry. That's going to be delicious. And Breezy, you were concerned, but don't worry. The boys are back in town. Kenny Omega and the Bucks will be taking on Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Satman Singh.
Oh wow, there's a 5-star classic for you.
Hey, he's a ring general, that Satman Singh. In the ring, anything goes with that guy. Oh, wait, that's the next match. Moxley, Beretta, and Penta in an anything goes match.
It's very unpredictable who's going to win that.
It's just playing off of last week's main event, but now minus 3 other guys.
Really, yeah.
All 3 like to bleed, so let's expect it to get red.
Oh,
again, are we getting overuse of no holds barred, anything goes?
Yes.
Again, I think it's like we don't need to just have a 3-way. We're fine with it.
I feel like that's a Moxley thing.
Every single time. Like I feel like I almost start to feel sorry for the guys. Like again, I gotta fucking do. Sorry, bomb. Like, I gotta hurt myself again. I gotta get stabbed again. Like I just want to wrestle. Like I get it. Like these guys are great. They're great performers. They don't need to go to get kendo sticks and get bashed with nails or be flipped over in tacks. Like just let them wrestle and there'll be a killer match.
Okay. I agree. They just did blood and guts. Like, what was the point of having the blow off for blood and guts if you're just going to continue to use weapons and stuff in the next week?
I want more of that. I'm all right with it. I got to go on the opposite side from you guys because if I look at the guys in the match, Penta's best match in history for me has to be Sammy at
Slammiversary.
Absolutely.
We were there.
They went nuts. Like we're talking railroad spikes to the head. When I look at Beretta, the last match that I will always remember him for was the parking lot brawl. And minus Moxley, the other two get over. And this is their style. So, I mean, I get it. If it was a bunch of like Darius Martin in this match, I'd be like, okay, why? Are we just doing this again? But this is a style that all 3 like. So I don't think that they sat there and when Moxley walked in and said, we're going to do an anything goes match, Penta was like, no. He was like, hell yes. So if it was anybody else, I'd love to play on that. I just feel like this is the type of it gets Trent more exposure. I mean, the guy doesn't really get outside of best friends much. Penta's amazing on his own, so I'll always watch more.
But Trent got pinned last week by Penta, so who cares? What's the point?
Anything goes.
That's so.
Anything goes.
I'm going to say Penta is one of the best looking characters of all time. I love his outfits. I love his paint. Yeah. I love how he's created this superhero, this super supernatural type of character. I love it. Contacts, the whole bit. I almost don't want to see what he looks like because I don't want to be like let down. Like, oh, it's kind of like when Kylo Ren takes off the helmet. And you're like, oh,
yeah,
right. So I don't even want to see it because I think he looks such a cool ass character. I don't know.
Yeah, no, keep it on. Sure. I love it. I think the kids love it. I think the adults love it. He's got a real good look. Aesthetics are A1 with Penta, and they've been that way. The cool thing is that it's a lot more prevalent to mainstream audiences now being on AEW and being front and center. It makes you almost feel like when Ray was in WCW and he was the only one that just had that look. By the time he got to WWE, they were like, let's just market this. They stand alone. Like you put Penta in a room of AAA guys, most of them are all the same similar feel. But I mean, head to toe, down to the samurai, whatever you call it in the front. I agree. Last match, it's going to be Sammy Guevara, Daniel Garcia versus Chris Jericho and Takeshita.
That's juicy.
Story.
Let's develop that story.
I'll watch it just for that. As we wrap up the AEW, couple big things. Raw was actually good last night. That Gunther match actually blew me away. Did anybody want to touch on anything on Fed?
I want to touch on the video packages for the Shayna and Ronda match were probably the best thing they've ever done for Shayna Baszler, and probably the best thing they've ever done to build up Ronda Rousey as well.
I mean, minus the WrestleMania with Triple H and Stephanie. I think so.
It feels like I was going to say like those vignettes, those little promos kind of felt very UFC or mixed martial arts, kind of going back to their roots as competitors and actual like fighters, which is kind of neat that they're kind of going back to that background, right? So I think especially showing the old like Shayna Baszler, where she's come from, that she's battled, like that. It's good. I think it's good character development.
Definitely. All right.
Yeah, if you're talking video packages, the Brock and Cody one was phenomenal. Everybody was raving about that one online after Raw.
As we talk about that, who all has seen the Cody documentary?
Not yet.
Not yet. Me
Fantastic.
From everything I'm hearing online, it's getting hype. People can't believe the footage they use, so I'm kind of excited to watch that. Same thing with heels rolling out. I'm like, what? I've got enough wrestling to watch. Don't give me more content.
I know, right?
Yeah. Well, they have your BTE footage in there, so you'll love that.
Oh yeah.
He really gets down into the nitty gritty about the AEW departure. So it was a very good documentary. It didn't feel like 2 hours. Some of those can just drag. This was an easy watch.
Absolutely. I was shocked. I'm not a big Raw watcher, but I actually started watching a segment and then I went and pulled it up and watched the Sheamus match and I was like, Jesus, they hit hard. I think they're using a lot of people well on Raw right now, so we'll see if they can catch. I don't think they can catch the fire that is Bloodline, but it'll take time.
Can I hit on Riddle real quick, Dusty?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys read this, but apparently they're not pushing Riddle anymore. And he took a loss to Ludwig Kaiser, and he's not happy about it. He went online, and he's like, did you guys see what Riddle said online?
No, talk about it.
Okay, so he went online and he said, who would have thought it'd be harder to win a fake wrestling match than a UFC real fight? So, I mean, Jesus. I don't know when his contract is up, but if he's that much in the doghouse right now and he's losing singles matches to a tag team guy, he might be AEW bound closer than we think,
Well, okay. So to that point, I watched that yesterday, and I thought there's two things, right? Because you can't keep on building, say, Gunther. He is a ring general, and you can't always have a guy like that, and you can't take him seriously if his guys that he's building up keep on losing, because he's supposed to be the ring general. Like then what's his worth as a ring general if he can't even get his guys to win? Yeah. So I think this leading up to building up to SummerSlam, Ludwig had to beat him. Because like you can't have another fail, like he's another failure. Because again, you're losing the pinnacle of being like why then you're not going to trust him as the Intercontinental Champion that he's almost one of the top 4 of all time reigning, right? So he has to have his crew has to be up there, right? Because he's behind them, he's whipping him to shape, right?
The thing is it could have been someone else. They've got people that they could have used to get the rub and still squash. Riddle is kind of shocking because they had him so high when Randy Orton was around.
It was a good match. It was a really good match, though. I thought it was really entertaining. So kind of like those two guys meshed well together, right? So I thought it was good. But I know your point. I get the point. I can see why he's kind of ticked off about it. But hey, man, you gotta pay your dues, and you gotta. These guys, they're trying to push other guys, right? I was getting sick of it. I felt like he was getting over on everybody. So, you know what? It's time to pay the piper.
I can dig it. I can respect the angle.
Let's hit our Canadian girl. What about Trish being pulled from SummerSlam, her and Becky, and now they're doing it in Canada in 2 weeks?
I think it's a better venue for it.
Where's it going to be?
Is it Manitoba?
Like a house show?
Winnipeg. Okay.
Yeah, Winnipeg. Yeah, Winnipeg in 2 weeks.
Oh, was it? Oh, is it the Raw? Is it Raw? Or
Yeah,
SmackDown?
it's a Raw. Trish
Gotcha.
versus Becky. So they were. It seemed like this entire time they were building towards SummerSlam, and then all of a sudden the Shayna and Ronda match just took that spot.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
it's a better match. That's a better match, anyways.
It's fine. It'll be good for a main event in Canada. I'll take it.
Trish is done. When she was here in Toronto, and I guess was it when she had her farewell match. That was done really, really well. With
Against Charlotte.
But I think now I just feel like anybody's with her has to really carry her right now. So I just don't. I think I'm fine with it being on a SmackDown or Raw, but I understand why they pulled it from.
So I want to pick on what you just said real quick. You said other people just have to carry her so hard now. But if you go back, everybody has been carrying her entire career.
Yes and no. She can wrestle.
Yeah. I can say Mickey can wrestle. I can say Molly can wrestle. But she had a lot of talent make her look golden.
Because she had the look, though. That's why.
Yeah.
She has that bleach blonde, the build for it, the physique for it, right? And that's half the sell back then, especially during the Attitude Era. It's all like TNA, right? So she was perfect for that. So that's what I see. What the other group are probably upset, who are way better wrestlers, like what's her name, Vachon, right? It's Luna Vachon, right? And she's from that. So again, because of her look, she would have to, job to someone like Trish back then.
Luna, my God, if only she was prime right now, she would be tearing people apart. That's a woman that should be put on the list. The list. Let's talk about it. So we are going to do a side episode for the future. For our listeners, we're going to do a proper Canadian draft of the greatest Canadian wrestlers. So stay tuned for that type of content hitting. Hope everybody's enjoying All Elite Zone, the Canadian version, AEZ. This is Dusty signing off, boys.
We got another one. Guts up.